Hello and welcome everyone to another deep dive on a past project I've done, recap sort of thing. So I'm going over today my 2021 Halloween window mural, which was, first of all, it was filmed before I even started my channel. And I didn't plan on ever making an actual video of it. It was more practice for me because back then I was thinking of starting a YouTube channel and starting this kind of things and branching off on my own and doing this stuff like window murals. And I've done quite a few since then. But this video itself was something that was only kind of practice for me. And when I reviewed the footage, Assistant Chaz is here as well. He wants you to know. No, really, he wants me to take him outside, but that's not going to happen. Okay. Anyway, he's part of this video too. So is his sister. His sister's not around anymore. But anyway, when reviewing the footage for this project, I noticed I could probably make a video out of it, and I decided to do that. So I started my channel in September of 2022. And that was like I knew I wanted to get this video because I had thought about it before that. So I was trying to speed up what I was doing. So I ended up releasing this as my second video on the channel altogether. And I know a lot of people haven't seen it because it was when my channel was brand new and I didn't have any subscribers. But it has been viewed a bunch since then. I'm not sure who's been watching. I mean, I watched it a few times because especially when I was reviewing it for this video. But anyway, so I know a lot of you that are watching now probably haven't seen it. So I'm going to link it in all the usual spots, down in the description, the pinned comment, in the cards at the end of the video, things like that. And there's also a Halloween playlist on my channel. There's also a window mural playlist on my channel. You can find it there. But anyway, I'm not going to be watching the entire thing and kind of doing commentary on the entire thing. I'm going to watch parts of it with you on this video. So I encourage you to watch the original one. And again, this part of the reason I wanted to get this out was this was the very, very beginner perspective of doing something like this. And I know there's some of you out there like me back then who wanted to learn how to do this stuff but couldn't really find a nice transition into doing it. Like there wasn't anything kind of available to help you. At least when I was looking back then, I couldn't find much. So I thought having my very beginner perspective in this video, the 2021 one, would help some people. And this one will help further because now I have more experience and more knowledge to add to it. Like this is what I should have done back then and I didn't, that kind of stuff. So when I did this, I was a complete beginner. I had none formal training. Like I didn't watch any tutorials. I just kind of took the knowledge I had at the time and applied it as best as I could to the window. And that being said, I think I did pretty well for, the amount of experience I had at the time and the amount of information available to me. And I talked about this a bit in the original video. And what I said in the video too was that shortly after doing this mural, I was presented with an opportunity to take a course that someone made called Signing Up. So it's from the Happy Ever Crafter, Becca, and Mabs from Chalk by Mabs. They did a great job in their course that I took from them. I was really happy with it at the time when I took it. They don't focus only on windows and murals. They do it's about large signage and stuff like that, which is also something I do and wanted to get into at the time. Anyway, so I did take that course from them after this, and that helped jumpstart being more professional the way I wanted to be. And by the time that I made my 2022 mural the next year, I had more skills under my belt and I had more experience as well. So in the video, the 2021 that we're going to watch soon, part of it, I went over in the end the issues that I noticed at the time, which was 2022, when I uploaded that video that I noticed with the mural I made back then, which pretty much is the same today. I don't really have a whole lot extra to add to it as far as like overall issues. But the issues I brought up in that video were, one, the lettering for Happy Halloween is too small on that design. Like it can work in certain circumstances, but in that case, it was not working with the small lettering like that. Should have been bigger, because that was kind of the main focus of the sign, was the Happy Halloween. Like that was the big thing, and I made it too small. So that was something I needed to fix for 2022, and I did do that, you'll see. When I made the ghosts next to the Happy Halloween to the right there, the boo that the big one is kind of saying is too close to the Happy Halloween, because you have Happy Halloween and then right above it you have boo, and you're kind of reading both at the same time, and it's like, is that supposed to go together? You know, I'm not sure. Kind of weird. So that's was something I saw that was kind of an error my first time. This is a big one. The next one is difficult to see. So I'm gonna talk more about that when I get into like the deep dive, but some of it I painted on the outside of the window, and some of it I painted on the inside. And specifically the stuff on the inside was very hard to see, especially at night on those windows. And also a lot of that window to the right there with the witch and the moon and the ghosts that lead into the bigger ghost and the gravestones on the bottom, those were all very difficult to see. Even when you were up close to them, they were hard to see. So that was something I was like, oh, I guess I should have painted those on the outside because this isn't working. And that's also partially because of lighting. So the lighting I have out there is, there's a porch light, and it's above the left side of the window with the tree, and like the bats coming out, like right above there is the light. So the other side does not get lit as much. There's no lighting over there. So that kind of made it even more hard to see over there. So that was a, misstep that I made. And then overall, that design was way too crazy and not like put together well, basically. So like I said, the Happy Halloween is in the middle. That's where it should have been. And then to the left of that, as you're looking at it, was the tree and the bats, and they're all black. So like all the black stuff is there, and then the orange Happy Halloween, and then the rest on the right is, most of that is white, not all of it. So it's kind of odd with all the black stuff on the one side, and then the orange writing, and then like mostly white stuff after that. Like there's no contrast. Like the contrast is all kind of blocked. It's not within itself. So those are all something I brought up when I uploaded the video as problems with the mural. Now I want to go over a few more things that I have kind of added to that since. So the first one is, and I think I mentioned this at some point during that video, but sketch out the design ahead of time a little more, because I had an idea of what I wanted to do in my head, but a lot of it was like, I could put this there, like in the moment, without really thinking of it too much ahead of time, and how would that look? Because I didn't really know at the time, like it was kind of difficult. But if I had planned it out ahead of time, I may have caught some of these things before. So even though I don't always do that now, I like to try to do it, sketching out ahead of time. I do have a little bit more like on the job, on the, what am I trying to say? On the day, like on the fly, I think is what I'm trying to say. More like knowledge that I can dig from, like this is what I could do, this will look better. And I didn't know that back then. So again, it's kind of like building your skills as well. Sketch it out beforehand, learn what things look better together, The next thing was using more tools than I had that year, obviously. I mean, I bought more tools over the time. The ones I did have at the time, which wasn't much, I really only had like a step stool, paint markers, which is what I use. I'm going to talk about that in a minute too. But paint markers, step stool, and I didn't really use anything else. I mean, we're going to talk about this more, but I did sketch out the lettering ahead of time. So I did do that. And then I blew it up a little bit, but not enough to fill the whole window as far as size goes. So I did do that. And I printed it out and I had that available ahead of time. I also, because my art drawing skills aren't the greatest, I do lettering on the fly, but like, and I'm getting better at some other things, but like I didn't feel comfortable drawing bats. I did a few of the bats actually freehand in the video, but also I started tracing like stock images I found that were, things that I could use. And then I also traced the witch because there's no way I still don't think I could do the witch on my own. But like the rest of it, like I did do freehand. So it wasn't all traced. It was just part of it. But I had those printed out ahead of time, so I didn't have to like do that in the moment. Like I had that ready. So I did, like I said, I did do some pre-planning. It's just the design overall, I didn't really figure out how it was supposed to look. I mentioned I was using paint pens the entire time, which I actually did the following year as well, in 2022. And at the scale I was doing it, paint pens probably shouldn't have been my choice. Depends on, the things. I mean, if you're drawing real detailed things, like when I did the witch or some of the bats and stuff, those are smaller. Those were good with paint pens. But like the things like the lettering and filling in the tree and the ghosts, like the bigger ghosts, I should have probably used paintbrush and paint, not paint pen, because, first of all, it takes a long time to do, filling it all in, but also it doesn't have like a finished quality look to it. So I would have now done certain things like the tree, and if I increased the lettering, even when I didn't though, I still probably should have used paint for that, because it's bigger, it's easier to do with paint and a paintbrush and cover and everything, not paint pens. So that was something kind of included in tools, I guess. But also, another thing I wanted to mention was guidelines. So I did do this, we're going to talk more about this, but I did do this in the spiral, the ghost spiral that I did make a guideline for me to follow as I'm drawing those ghosts. And I think I did a good job there. I'm going to talk more about that when we get to that, because that's something I was going to talk about. But other than that, there are certain things that I probably should have used guidelines for more with the design. And then I kind of mentioned this when I said it was difficult to see, but a lot of the things that I painted on the inside, I should have painted more on the outside. Like I like to use both sides of the window, and I did do that on the tree and the big ghost. You can see, it's hard to see in the picture a little bit, but his little tail behind him, he's kind of coming through the glass. So like his face and most of his body is outside, and then his little feet and tail, whatever it is inside. So like half of him is out, or more like 2/3 probably is out, and the rest of it's in. So there's a 3D quality. And on the right window, I did the witch on the outside and then the moon behind the witch on the inside, which was a good use of that too. But some of the things, especially the gravestones, those were very hard to see. And I think I originally wanted to do some in front, and I ended up not. And then the lettering should have been done on the outside, like the main part of it, and maybe done like the outline on the inside, or as I do in 2022, like the 3D version of it, like the 3D kind of extrusion from the letters was on the inside, but to have like all the main parts of it on the outside, because then that would make it easier to see. So that's kind of a continuation of that. So what I want to talk about is a few things. One I encountered while doing this, and this has to do with tools. Since 2021, I had it for 2022, and since, something that I've used is a maul stick. So it's a tool that you can use to kind of rest your arm on while you're painting to help keep your arm steady, but also help keep your arm off of the paint that's already there so you don't smudge it. Because one of the things, whether you have a maul stick or not, that I kept forgetting, because again, I was new at this, I am right-handed and I paint with my right hand. So if I start painting something on the right hand of the screen, or the window, I should say, then I shouldn't do that because I'm going to smudge it. I should start on the left side, which makes sense. I mean, I don't know why I was doing this, but there were a couple instances where I started on the right, because usually when you write something, you start on the left side, at least, in our language. And that's what left-handed people have an issue with, is like, that's the way we do it. And they end up smudging their stuff because they're left-handed. Well, I'm not, I'm right-handed. But for some reason I was painting stuff on the right and then like continuing on to the left. And I ended up, having an issue, and I had to like contort my body to try to not hit it while I was painting the new thing. So the maul stick helps with that, but also you should, if you're right-handed, should try to work left to right if possible. And if you're left-handed, right to left. Because if it's already written there, you don't have to write it backwards. Like if you're tracing something, or if you are using guidelines to some extent, there should be something already there. So you should be able to do it right to left. And one more quick thing about the cats. So Assistant Chaz has went to sleep. He was yelling earlier in the video. Thank God he went to sleep. He and his sister were in this video, and they were both trying to assist me, Chaz especially. He is now older. It's 4 years since then. He's actually right around this time that I'm filming this, turning 18. And he likes to sleep a lot more. I mean, he was yelling earlier, and he does do that. But he doesn't quite get up in my face anymore, which is nice. But I do kind of miss it. And I was watching this video, I'm like, oh, Otto and Chaz, because I both missed them both in a way, because Otto is dead now. She died a couple months after I filmed this video, actually. And Chaz is older now, and he's got his health issues. He still gets around, and he's still active and everything, but he's not as... He still finds ways to be annoying, but he's not as like in my face anymore. Like when he was batting my marker away when I was drawing the ghost spiral. We'll go over that in a minute. On top of me when I was drawing the bats. He doesn't do that much anymore. I mean, we'll see when I do this year. We'll see what he ends up doing. He didn't actually help me at all last year, because he was so excited to go outside. And I went out there and he went to sleep. I'm like, I thought you wanted to go outside. He just stayed in the house the whole time, and then I came back in and he started yelling like, oh, I want to go out. Well, I was out already. But anyway, I wanted to touch on that because there's lots of old footage of the cats on this video, and especially Otto, because this is the only video she's on, because again, she died shortly after this, and I didn't start my channel until a year later. So I was reminiscing watching. It was very nostalgic for me. So first thing I want to talk about is the lettering process, and that's what I started with. Like I said, I did do the lettering beforehand. I did that in Procreate, and I did it very quickly. Like I probably would have made it a little better nowadays. Like it was kind of like not consistent with, and even the thing that I traced, I ended up changing that a little bit when I painted. But it was kind of just to help me realize what it should look like and using it as a guide. So anyway, I drew it in Procreate, and then I took it into Adobe Illustrator, made it bigger, which I should have made it even bigger than I did. And then I printed it out, and it ended up being 4 pieces of paper, like just taped it together, and then taped it to the window, the inside of the window, so that I could trace it on the outside. So I started tracing it. So let's actually show that part. So again, I printed out the lettering I did on Procreate. I took it into Illustrator, made a vector, made it larger, printed it out, and then I taped it to the window on the inside of the house, and I was tracing it on the outside. Let me back that up a little bit. and I taped it to the window on the inside of the house, and I was tracing. So when I did that, I ended up with this. It's kind of hard to see, but I outlined the letters on the outside, and I took the paper down, and I started painting the H in for happy. Seeing it on the outside. It was originally in my Halloween. Plan to do this, sorry. But so again, you can't really see because, again, I was filming this just for my own purposes. If I knew I was filming for, I would have probably zoomed in on it and everything. But the H was kind of streaky with the paint pen, and I didn't know how to make that look better, or, you know, I wasn't sure exactly how it was supposed to look because I'm using paint pen instead. So I decided at that point that I didn't like the way it looked and that I was going to do it on the inside instead. So then what I ended up doing, but you'll see in a minute that I actually changed my mind and decided to do the lettering on the inside of the window, which I thought was actually a mistake. I should have kept it on the outside. It was the first thing I did, and I didn't like the look of the way the paint looked, and I wasn't sure how to remedy that, so I decided that it's probably going to look better from the inside. The problem with that, though, I mean, it looked better, but the problem with that was that it's very hard to see. As you can see, I didn't get many pictures of the final product. You saw the one in the thumbnail that I had to enhance quite a bit, and you'll see a few along the way, but our windows are they have quite a glare and a reflection on them. In fact, we have problems with birds flying into them all the time. You know, it's kind of hard to see anything that's done on the inside. And originally in my plan, I wanted to do most of it on the outside and then do some of it on the inside for the 3D effect. So I was going to be working the night of trick or treat, and I wasn't going to be able to be there, so we were just going to leave a bowl out, and I wanted to do something friendly for the neighborhood, make this little mural. So I'm doing that again this year, like I said, but this year I'll be there. I know that last year I did have some, because we have a video doorbell, did have some people like, oh, that's neat. And I even had one parent take a photo that I could see. Oh, that was kind of cool. I was honored. All right, I'm gonna stop it here for a minute. So what I was gonna say is, you can see now, because I'm kind of zoomed in here, how kind of scratchy it is on, you know, this way. And I'm gonna show you a picture on the video soon of what it looks like on the outside. And you can see that it looks better when it goes through the glass. So that's why I wanted to do it on the inside. But again, if I would have used regular paint and a paintbrush on the outside, I would have had that smoother look. And you can also do that with paint marker paint too. If you just get it on there and you smooth it out with a paintbrush, you can do that as well. I didn't know that at the time at all, because again, I had no training whatsoever. So this is why I decided, okay, I'm gonna do it on the inside. You know, I think it'll be fine. And I had originally thought that I was going to outline it on the outside, which would have helped being able to see it more. But I ended up outlining it in black on the inside later on. So it was still hard to see. A little bit better with the outline, but not much. The other thing I was going to say now, if you wanted, for whatever reason, to paint it on the inside, what you could do is, if you were going to be tracing it like I was, you would have to mirror your image and then put it on the outside so that like the lettering was backwards, so that when you trace it on the inside, it would be backwards that way. But then when you look on the outside, it's the right way. So the way I did it was I outlined the lettering on the outside and then just traced that again on the inside, which was like double work, you know. But again, I didn't know what I was doing, and I had decided on the fly that's what I was going to do. So my original plan, which was to trace it on the outside, I changed my mind about that, and I had to come up with a new plan on the fly. So again, I'm going over what I could have done, what I should have done, and some options for you if you're looking to do something similar. I'm going to go clean off the other side and take a picture so you can kind of see what it looks like. Oh, past Shannon has started to talk. Okay, so this is what the picture looked like. As you can see, like it's very reflective. It's hard to see. It depends on the lighting too, like the lighting outside, the lighting inside. And if the drapes are closed, it's a little easier to see. You can see there's still some scratchiness to the lettering, but it's still overall a lot smoother than it is on the inside. So I was kind of self-conscious about it, or is it self-conscious? I guess not really. But like I didn't know how it was supposed to look, and I didn't know the difference, and I didn't know what I should do. And I'm like, I don't know. And I was already, because it was my first time, like very nervous about, first of all, going out there and painting my window with people walking by in the neighborhood. Like, what are you doing over there? Like, it was the first time I had done that. And I got over that pretty quickly. It's still a little weird to me, but you know, that was adding to my nervousness on the day. Like, this is the first time I've ever done this, and people are looking at me weird. And I even say that in the video at some point. Like, I feel like people are judging me, you know, out there. So I got over that, like I said, for the most part. I mean, I'm still a little like, I don't really want to go out there and have people watch me, but you know, plus I'm on YouTube, so that's even more. But anyway, so that is the difference there, what the lettering looked like. Now let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say about this. I'm not sure. You see what I mean about the glare? So that was the first thing I did, and I was happy with the results, and I'm still happy now. There's just a little bit that's a little off that we're going to talk about later. All right. So, looks good so far. I know I still got touch-up work I need to do. Right there. And I kind of like the scratchy look from the outside because it's kind of Halloween-ish. But I may need to fill in a few bare spots and get those. I think I'll do that now because I don't want it sitting up there. I already feel like people are judging me, so. There it is. So I'll just say what I'm doing here is do a little fix on my design in case I messed up anywhere. I mean, of course I did, but you know. So what I was doing there is taking a cotton swab and using a little bit of acetone to take off the paint. Probably could have done it with water at that point. I was using, for that specifically, I was using Posca markers, which are acrylic water-based markers. So you can mostly use water to take it off. And I had Googled beforehand because, again, I wasn't really aware of the different kinds of paints and how I can use them and how I can take them off and stuff. I was told acetone would do it, so I used acetone. And that does do it, but you don't probably need it, is my point. If it doesn't work with water, then obviously you'll need to do it, or you'll need to scrape it off, which I don't think I did in this one. I don't think I had a scraper yet that I used. I don't think so. I think I started using that in 2022. So, but that's another thing. It's very easy. You don't even need water. You can just scrape. It's a little easier if you get it wet, but you can scrape it off with a scraper. Plus, it's hard to get into the smaller spots though. But anyway, again, I'm not sure if I need to say anything else here. Let's see. Bump up here. See, here. Probably gonna outline this in black too, so not so worried about the edges because I'll get that with the black. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. So outlining it is a way to kind of help if you ended up with some letters that are kind of weird. You can kind of fix it a little bit by adding an outline or scraping it off, like I said. But definitely have spots I need to get some color in. Kind of more looking at the overall shape of the letters and if I want to make any changes. Because I think they're, you know,
It looked good on paper, but trying to get on the window is another story.
Which is another thing I want to say. So I forgot to mention this. I did talk about this in other videos, but if you are tracing through a window, it's kind of hard because most windows have 2 panes of glass in them. So like I said, if you taped your design up to that inside pane of glass, and then you go outside, there's another glass and then there's air in between. So depending on how you're looking at it, it can kind of mess with your vision a little bit when you're looking, because like there's 2 panes of glass it has to go through. So, and one of the things too is when you have both eyes, they're both registering back to your brain like what they see, and they're kind of converging on like, okay, this is the same here. So both of them have like different information they're seeing because there's, it's a little further out each one. So they're both seeing things a little bit differently. Like if you close one eye and you close the other, things move a little bit. So as you're tracing, sometimes as you're looking with both eyes, like you're trying to see, okay, that moved a little bit. Why did it move? Because your brain's kind of taking information from both eyes. So something you can do that I learned, and I learned this in signing up, the course I was talking about earlier, you can close one eye and then just keep it closed, and then just keep one eye open because then it won't kind of switch back and forth at all as you're looking at it. And it's kind of annoying trying to keep your eyes closed. So I added on that maybe it would be easier, and I haven't done this yet, but it would be easier to like maybe get an eye patch or something to cover up one eye as you're working, because then you don't have to keep it closed. Like you're doing it with the cloth and not your muscles. Because depending on how long you're going to stand there, that can get a little taxing. So again, this is some advice for me. Another thing I want to mention is a lot of these things that you're seeing sped up, I'm going to be releasing not as sped up on my social media channels, my reels. I did some of that, but I probably should do more. Want to follow those. Maybe I'll do that this year. See them a little more in depth.
Now the end looks a little bit like it got pushed over, but yeah. What are you gonna do? I think that's pretty good for the most part. The L's.
The L's are weird. I don't know what I did there. I know that the L's specifically, when I was tracing it, I did change the way they looked on the fly, and that's probably why they look so weird. Should have left them the way they were.
It was the intention to make this wavy, Now this one's all fat.
I did call a lot of the letters fat.
Okay.
And other things too.
So I'm going to take a break.
Fat shaming.
We're going to be coming. I might fill in some of the holes while I'm on my break, and I have the camera shut off because that's what I'll do until they get here probably. They don't live far away. But it's good for now. And E still looks a little fat, doesn't it?
Told you. There's the cinch
I need to fix that.
I'm just going to play it till the end of this part of the lettering.
All right, that's better. Not perfect, but it's better. It's more balanced. As soon as I get the spots filled in, it should be better. All right, I'm going to take that break.
All right. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about, was the lettering and how I did it, what kind of mistakes I made along the way, what I would do differently now. When I did the lettering, which I ended up doing Happy Halloween again for 2022, I first made it bigger to take up the whole window. I'll show kind of a picture of what it looked like. But what I did then was I ended up making guidelines for lettering, and I ended up tracing, what am I trying to say? I ended up drawing the letters backwards, just as kind of a guideline inside. And then I traced my drawings that I made backwards on the outside, which now was not backwards, it was frontwards or forwards or whatever. But this is something I've done since then too. It's something that if I want to do lettering beforehand, sometimes I end up drawing it backwards first on the inside so that I can trace it on the outside and I have kind of a guideline to what I want to do. So that's something I do. Didn't do that this time, obviously. But that's how I did it both in the 2022 mural and the 2023. And I'm going to go over those in a different video as well. But just to give you kind of a glimpse of what I did, that's what I did those. All right, so that was that. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the ghost spiral. So again, this was done, this is one of the star moments of Assistant Chaz. It's probably my favorite thing that I've encountered with him on this channel, or ever maybe, was him climbing on my shoulder while I was doing this and trying to bat the marker as I was doing it. You're going to see that in a minute. I did kind of show you earlier, but it's one of my favorite things I've done overall was this, and Chazzy adding on to it is just, it's like a fond thing for me, was this part of the project. Now obviously I'm probably going to be repeating myself again because I'm going to play the video, but what I ended up doing for this was, because I wanted to put the ghost in a spiral, I ended up deciding on the fly, good decision, that maybe I should draw the spiral outside first because I was going to paint them on the inside. I should have painted them on the outside, but I didn't. So on the other side of the window, to use as a guideline, I drew the spiral, and I did it wrong the first time. I had to come back and do it, you'll see. But I drew the spiral, and then, to kind of give me a guide to draw the ghosts along. And then I just went outside and erased my spiral, and then, they were kind of perfectly in a spiral like they should be. And I wanted to do more, like I said in the video, I wanted to do kind of offshoots off the spiral to show more ghosts, but I ended up not doing that. That was mostly due to time. At the time I was doing this, I did it over 2 days, I believe. And I had very limited window of time that I could do it. Plus I was still at the time working a different job. And I am doing that now technically too. I'm self-employed. I do a whole bunch of different things, but I was like beholden to a schedule back then, like working on, and I was working from home, but still like you see that throughout the video. Like I'm like, what time do I have to actually go to work? Because I only had a certain, so I had to make very quick decisions. Like I couldn't sit there and think about it. Like I had to just do it. So, and I had to kind of cut things out, and I'm like, this isn't working out. I don't have time to do this. Forget it, So that was part of also the reason why some things didn't turn out the way I wanted them to. But it's something you deal with. And again, this was something I was doing in my own home, and it was my first one. So I'm not my expectations for it weren't huge. So that was kind of easy to get over. But if I was doing this for someone, and even if I had a limited amount of time, I would try to get the best version I can get because, someone's paying for this. And I would schedule more time than I think I need. And I would, make sure everything is pre-planned and ready to go before I go out there. So that's the difference.
Do I want to use this outline because it's pretty thick?
This is a little bit before the ghost spiral. We'll get there.
Maybe you can start making ghosts.
There we go.
Jazz, you had enough time outside, don't you think? Oh. All right. Oh, probably should move the camera, eh? Where and what kind of configuration do I want to do these ghosts? Haven't thought that far ahead, really. Because I want some in the forefront and be bigger, and then I want some back here, they're smaller. And I guess their eyeballs will have to be on the other side.
Which I did do. I put the eyeballs on the outside.
I mean, do ghosts have eyeballs? Who knows? But we're doing the traditional, cartoon ghost. With the sheet. But what I want to do is maybe do like a swirly of those that get bigger and bigger. Or am I, doing too much here? Because probably it's something I should lay out first.
Both good points. I'm probably doing too much here, which it didn't turn out to be too much actually. Like, it worked out better than I thought it was going to be at the time. But also, I should probably lay this out before. Both good instincts that I had as a beginner. I'm very proud of myself.
I should just do that for you. And gradually bigger, 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 and then like over here they're going to be on the other side and big. And we'll have maybe some shoot-offs that go this way. And I want to do some gravestones. There's some pumpkins over here.
Pumpkins didn't happen. They happened in 2022.
Who knows if I'm going to finish this all?
I didn't.
What I'm saying is, should I make like a swirl on the other side so I know where I'm going? And then erase it? I think that's what I should do. Cat is going to come out.
So I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I did that the wrong way.
The swirl is the wrong way. I have to fix that.
I had to come tell the camera.
Whoops.
I also had to come get my rag, but still. The only thing about this is when I originally made the swirl before, I had more of a swirl there, like there was more turns in the swirl, and now it turned out to be only like the one little one, and I probably should have done a little more. So I probably should have done it again, but I mean, it's fine. It turned out good.
Guess he's running away from home. So.
Oh, by the way, when I say Chaz is running away from home and I'm joking, he actually did that. Ugh. And it like blew everything out of the water for me. That's part of the reason why I'm having trouble keeping this channel afloat right now, because like ever since that happened, I've just been like, everything's chaos. And that was a year and a half ago at this point, probably. Pretty close. So at the time, I didn't think he'd run away. And I didn't think, even when it happened, I couldn't believe he ran away because he is so clingy. Like, he likes going outside. And this was kind of the beginning of him getting a taste for it. And I go out with him, like I supervise him. I don't just let him out, as you see in the video. But he just, like, what ended up happening, if you don't know, our back door was left, either it was unlocked or it wasn't latched all the way, or both. And we had a storm come through. The door ended up opening overnight because it wasn't closed all the way. And woke up in the morning and I'm like, why is the door open? Where's Chaz? You know, he left sometime during the night. And we found him 9 days later at another person's house. Someone posted about it on social media. We found him, thank God. Well, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should have left him out there. But I'm just joking. Anyway, yeah, so he ran away. But the thing is, he is so clingy with me. Like, he has to know where I am all the time. Like, he can't go to bed at night unless I'm there. Like, and he left. Like, why did he leave? But anyway, I won't talk too much about that. I've already talked about it in a bunch of videos.
What I'm going to do is make smaller, 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 and then big, 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 big. You know, bigger and bigger as we go. I know, it's kind of hard to see this world from here, but, you know. I think my cat ran away. I gotta get him. Right.
Not yet, but he did.
So, real small beginning.
So this was his revenge for me bringing him back in.
Oh, here he comes.
He's climbed up on me, back when he could do that.
Gotta be involved in every little thing. Yeah, we're gonna need an instant replay on that one.
The other thing I was going to say in regards to this, the editing of my video, I had more time to put this as a complete cohesive package with the editing and everything, even though I was pretty new at this point. Like, I'm not able to do that with my videos now because I have no time to do it.
That's my boy.
You tried again.
Oh, Chazzy. Assistant Chaz. So helpful. Yes,
He
this
does
is what I
take his
deal
job
with
seriously.
at work
What
because
do
I
you think
work from
his job
home
is?
most of the time. My assistant takes his job very seriously. But anyway, back to the ghost spiral I got going on here. So as you saw, I kind of decided to do this on the fly. I think I kind of had an idea beforehand that that's what I wanted to do, but I was kind of second guessing myself, and then I decided I'm going to do it anyway. And this is one part of the mural I think I did pretty well on overall. Like, it was a good idea to put the spiral as soon as I got it going the right way down so I could kind of trace the ghosts over it.
Let's move this over for a minute. And we're gonna put our final ghost, at least in this spiral. I might have. Ooh, I think I want him on the other side though, don't I? Don't I? I think I do. I was gonna have different like branches of the spiral go off too. Maybe like, you know.
Which didn't happen.
How much time do I have before I have to go to my
Maybe
real
I'll do
job?
that again sometime.
Nah, about
Maybe
20
this year.
minutes, a little bit more.
Because it would fit with my theme that I'm thinking of doing. Oh, that's secrets.
And then go outside and clean that off. Put the eyeballs on, right? And then take this out and maybe do that now. I'll just show it from this side. You can see me working. Probably not gonna be able to see this side though.
So I ended up not doing the big ghost on this day. I did
without
it the
coming
next
back
day.
in, so.
So this was the end of the first day I did. I did 2 days technically. I think I did a little bit of work off camera on a couple other days, but not very much. Anyway, this is how everything looked when I was done with the first day. Overall, not too bad. Still got some work to do. And we'll talk more.
So here's the ghost, how they looked in the end. Not too bad. And they're meant to be kind of cartoony. It's made for kids.
More in the deep dive about the
Good
design
thing.
overall and things like that.
All right, so now let me find. All right. So I'm gonna do the big ghost now.
The one that's on the outside over here. And come back in and do the, over here. Come back in and do the back side because I want that one to be like a 3D. We'll see how it works. We'll have it kind of coming out here and then have like the back be like the little feet part of the ghost. But I'm going to do the front part first. So, shouldn't be that hard to do, I don't think.
One more note about how I filmed this. So if you notice in 2022 on, I normally, especially when I'm doing murals, I try to do 2 different views, especially with windows. I can do one on the inside and one on the outside. So I can give both perspectives. And this would have been helpful back then, but it didn't occur to me, one. But also, I mean, again, because I was making this for myself, I wasn't making it necessarily for an audience. And I also didn't know like how to edit that necessarily at the time that I could do that or whatever. So I didn't do it then, but now I do it, and I haven't really got much feedback on whether or not people like that better or not, where you get both perspectives, or if they find it too distracting when there's 2 different things going on the screen. Sometimes I switch back and forth, sometimes I put them both on the same screen. So, I mean, if you have any feedback about that, let me know.
He's gonna say boo. Say that? Well, let's see. Let's go out there and try. Might have to try again.
Also, like I said in this video earlier, I didn't show that part here, but there were points where I kept talking, so I needed to kind of keep that part in the video, but I brought the tripod out with me with the camera on it, like and shook it all around, and I'm like, well, I don't think there's probably some people that might get sick if I do that, so I better not like keep that footage on there. So I put that up instead. The oops shaky camera.
I brought the wrong pen out, so I had to get a new one.
But again, I wasn't filming this with the intent to post it at the time, so it was just practice.
So this big ghost that I'm doing now is something that I really was impressed with myself with the 3D effect.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it turned out really good. Like it seems like the ghost
I had
is
trouble
kind of coming through the
how
window.
do I connect those? I'm not
like
sure.
the feet part of the ghost is in the back, which is kind of cool.
I figured it out.
I think that's more believable. Obviously, I have to come out here and do the eyes, too.
And at this point, I skipped over this part in the video, but you can see that I outlined the lettering in black, so you can kind of see it a little better in the window, but not great.
And then I will go over this later in the video, but when I add the boo next to it, and then I add the little ghost in the background behind the boo, all of that together on its own looked pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I liked that. Obviously, color those in.
I thought I did a good job with that. It's just all of that was way too close to the Happy Halloween, and it's kind of squished together, and it's hard. Your eye doesn't know where to go. So again, we're going to talk about that when I go over
And then
kind of
here's
the
me doing
mistakes
the
I made.
gravestones, which you can barely see.
And
later
I just
on.
wanted to zoom in here while
I
I
had
was
to
doing
zoom
the
in the camera to
gravestones,
even
because they
see
are
me
very
doing
hard
them.
to see. They're the worst as far as trying to see them.
And I don't really have much to say about the witch, other than, like I said, I traced it because I can't draw a witch from memory. I just can't. And I don't know if I have much to say about the bats. I did a lot of tracing there. I did do some of it freehand. Chazzy helped me with some of that as well. You'll see that in the original video. I don't have much to add at this point, so I'll just leave my original commentary from the original video if you want to see it. So I don't think there's much to say other than that. I can go over, like I said, the design flaws that I mentioned earlier that I put at the end of this video. Now I ended up using these same critiques that I had. The lettering was too small, the boo was too close to the Happy Halloween, it was difficult to see, and the overall design was too chaotic. I ended up taking those 4 things and comparing them to my 2022 mural in another video. Actually, for that one, I did a deep dive on that process because I had so much footage. And then I included, because it was like a part 2 to my other video for 2022. So I have 2 2022 videos is what I'm trying to say. And that one, the second one, was when I compared this mural to that one at that point. Now I could probably compare both of them and say, like, I could have done this better, you know, blah, 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 which I might do when I go over that video next. So, I don't think I say anything in this video that's different than what I said earlier about these things, the design flaws. So, I highly recommend the bonus footage. I might actually go through that in a different video and release it. But for now, I guess this one's done. So that's a review of this mural, what I could have done better, you know, more explaining the process, and going back now 3 years later almost. So I hope this was helpful for those of you who are wanting to learn beginner window painting. I guess the other thing I would say before I close, just start. Just start practicing. If you have a nice big window at your house, like I do, just start. And you'll get over the aspect if you're worried about this. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I am very introverted. I don't like people watching what I'm doing while I'm working, other than on YouTube. That's different. I'm very quiet. I'm not like overly social. I'm not like antisocial, but like I'm not overly social normally. So I don't like the attention, you know, that passersby on the street. And actually, when I'm doing murals, I haven't really had someone comment as I'm doing them. I've had people comment after, but not as I'm doing them yet. But even if that's what you're worried about, I got over that pretty quickly personally. Like the aspect of I don't want to be out there when people are watching me. Like it was more important for me to learn how to do it than to be like, oh, people are watching me, you know? So I got over that. I don't know if you will necessarily, but it's something I would say just try it. And if you can't get over it, then you have your answer. But if you're looking to do something like this, absolutely start practicing. If you don't have a big enough window, I mean, you can use smaller windows too, but if you don't have a big window where you can do something like large, you can either, well, one thing, if you have a sliding door, I have one of those in my house. I have used that over the holidays the last 2 years, and I did Halloween last year too. I'll kind of show some footage on here about it if you haven't seen. But that's another thing. If you have one of those, it's a good a good way. There we go. A good way to practice that as well. If you don't have a big window, because that's pretty big. Even if you have one that leads to the outside, normally in your backyard, you know, there's less people kind of around you and you can be more to yourself and you can practice without people watching you. I don't have that luxury because even in my backyard, I have a golf course on my backyard and people are walking by. It depends on the time of the year, but you know. So I have traffic on both sides of my house. That was my advice. Just start, just practice, get yourself, even if you do use paint pens to start, just start doing it. Just start practicing, and then get used to other materials and tools and things as you go. I do have some resources that are helpful that I've made videos about. I'll probably make more in the future from this, so I will link whatever is related in the description. And good luck. See you next time. And sorry. Quiet. Chazzy. Shut up. You were out already today. Go back to bed. Maybe you shouldn't though. Maybe you'll sleep during the night if you don't.